talk about longevity. Sins Foundation, Aubrey de Grey. I saw a picture, I think it's on your Twitter, I believe, of you sitting beside the legend, the man who wants to save your life alongside with Richard. I've speculated there will be a Heart Foundation one day.
Oh,
I just coined it. Nobody go register that domain. Please let Richard have it. But I'm speculating. What else would it be called, right? What else would it be called?
yeah, Heart
Maybe we call
Foundation.
it the Pulse Foundation. I'm pretty sure. There's a lot of inside jokes on that one. But I think I'm going with Heart Foundation. I think Richard, and I've said this, 50 times, he's in it for glory, and he's in it. He's using crypto. I think crypto will be a footnote in his Wikipedia article later on. I think he'll be known for longevity. He'll be using crypto to fund saving people's lives, extending lifespans. That's what I think. So, do you think we have a chance? Like, you've talked to the man before. You're obviously not a longevity expert, but you've made the rounds. You've talked to people who are into it, and you've been a fan of Richard Hart, so you know what he knows about it too, from all the streams and stuff. So, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, first thing I'll say is, shout out to Aubrey de Grey. He's a great guy. I had the pleasure of meeting him in Las Vegas in March at the Hex convention. Aubrey did a talk for almost an hour on day 4, the last day. And then he hung out with us for an hour in like a private room, like right off the convention hall. So that picture on my Twitter, it's my like profile pic. I get to sit next to Aubrey at the table. We were kind of at like a big round table, and I was sitting next to him, and we got to hang out. It was awesome, man. He's such
breaking bread with Jesus.
Yeah, dude, it was crazy, man. It was crazy. It was so cool. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to misquote him, but longevity escape velocity, which is to like how much longer do we all have to live to get to the point where we get the medicine where we might live for hundreds and hundreds of years. He said we're like 30 years away. So if you can live another 30 years, if you got another 30 years in you and you can do it, you might live longer than you expect. There might be some therapeutics, and they're just generation 1 at this point. Like, they're going to be brand new, but we could be the first to get the first generation of these various therapies that clean out the damage in your body that, kind of basically stop aging. That's really what it's about.
Stop it or reverse it, even.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But you do, I mean, as far as I know, though, these therapies will be, so if you're 20, that's great news for you. If you're 30, that's great news for you. If you're 40, well, it may be good news for you. You need to take really good care of yourself to that point, because once I don't think you're going to be able to fix, once you get to a certain point, it's really hard to reverse some of the damage you've done to your body, your mind, all these things.
Yeah.
So if you're maybe 40, 50 and above, hopefully within 30 years, maybe sooner, maybe 10, maybe 20, maybe 30 years, but let's say 30 years, worst case, you need to take really good care of your body, because once these therapies are available, and hopefully we can all afford them, the therapies are going to target, what he talks about, Aubrey talks about targeting different areas. There's these hours, there's like an hour to TED talk, at the Google campus as well. He did a couple talks I've watched where, there's like 7, 8, 9 different therapies areas to target, that will reverse aging. Just, it explains like a car, right? Car has, you do maintenance to a car over time. The more parts you do maintenance on, lube, oil, grease, replace as they go on, the longer your car. So you can have a car that's 100 years old, and most cars only last 20, 30 years, but it's been well maintained. That's the analogy to the body and longevity and living for a long time. There's no clock. There's no death clock. There's no humans are not supposed to live to a certain number. It is just your body breaks down over time. And what the Sins Foundation, Aubrey, and all the folks in longevity want to do is they want to target, maintenance and do different therapies that can heal you, and before it gets too bad where it can't be reversed and all this stuff. So when you talked to Aubrey, did you talk about longevity? Did you talk about any of the therapies? Like, did you get any insight about, how things are moving forward?
You actually just summed it up literally perfectly. Like,
I've watched him for a little bit.
Yeah, because Aubrey didn't. When we had the time with him, he didn't go through. He talked about one or two of those examples, but you just summed it up. There's a whole like list of therapies. Like there's those that called top 10. There's like top 10 forms of bodily damage and just build up that you got to clean out and keep up with. So yeah, that's exactly how he summarized it. He didn't get too technical with us there. We only talked to him for an hour, and we were kind of hanging out having cocktails. But so we didn't get too deep into it. But that's you just said it, man. That's exactly how it goes.
Nice. Well, so why do you think people are so skeptical? Like, why is it so hard to fund these type of things?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Until Richard had said that people were resistant and didn't like it, I had no idea. Or even Elon Musk isn't into longevity. Very strange. I find that so bizarre.
Well, have you talked to people? Have you said like, hey, have you tried to explain about Aubrey, Sins Foundation, things like that? And I know I have a few times, and it just, especially if you're talking to an older person, maybe they're in their 50s, 60s, they're just like it's a fairy tale, which there's some truth to that. Like I said, It may not help them as much as it would a younger person because they're, what we just talked about. But even if, I could tell someone 20, I'm pretty sure I've talked to 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds and stuff, and I've mentioned it, and it's just like, just one ear and out the other. Like, you can't be serious type of thing.
Really? I've never met anybody yet who rejected it or resisted. Let's just put it that way.
It's not that they don't want to live longer. It's just that they just, death is, I guess the argument is everyone before me has died. Everyone before me has died before the age of 100. What's different now? What would you say to that? Kind of like, you're talking to someone and they bring up that argument. Like, what would you say to that?
The only answer to that argument is to use the Elon Musk analogy. It's like, if you ever want to go to Mars someday, you want to be an astronaut, you want to set foot on the Mars soil, we have to work on it every day. We got to build the rockets. We got to develop the science. We got to train. We got to get everything ready. It'll take us decades, but if we work every day toward it, we'll get there. I'd say the same thing with this. It's like, sure, if you're 60 years old right now, not looking good. You're not going to make escape velocity. But if all of us together work on it every day and make progress, there's a chance we could see it in a couple decades. Do you
think that's the thing with the funding? Maybe because the older, the older people have a lot of the money in the world, and they're like, well, how does this benefit me, right? And maybe they're in a weird position with it.
That's a good. That sounds logical to me. Absolutely. They figure that if they're already wealthy, they're not going to make escape velocity. What do they care? They know they can't take it with them. So, and I get that philosophy too. I sort of live my life that way. I don't, I'm drinking beer. Like I'm not the perfect model of health myself either. So I get it, right? Like, you got to live your life and enjoy some pleasure, but that's a tough one. Yeah. I don't know how they think, but
with the moon analogy or with the, going to space analogy with Elon and stuff, I could see maybe there's, we went to the moon. People have seen NASA do it. They've seen us accomplish things in space. They haven't seen anyone live longer, right? Other than diet, exercise, running water, like kind of the basics where it's much more tangible, much more easy to see that, okay, if you take care of yourself, you'll do this. And maybe now people are kind of like, well, I think we did the most we can do. You can't, we got the best food. We got the best, available, at least. Not everyone eats the best food, but we have the best food available. We have the everyone's got shelter, running water, a lot of the developed world at least. And hey, take care of your mental health, take your vitamins, all this stuff. Maybe we can see 80, 90, something like that. But nobody thinks 100. Everyone thinks, and maybe because it's so rare too. They've only seen people that live past 100. Only a few people, right? There's like you always hear the world's oldest person is like 117 or something. You hear all these things. You've only seen it a handful of times. It's so rare. How could that be you? Why would that be you?
Yeah. I think the most concentrated place of centurions that are like people over 100 that I know is Okinawa, Japan.
Yeah.
They're the Okinawans, especially women who live there and who eat the diet there, which is mostly like rice and veggies. A lot of those women live to 100, and they're still mentally with it, and they go to their dance classes every day, or they're, whatever they're doing, and they're still active. So yeah, with really strict diet, like really super healthy strict, and like exercise daily, yeah, the Okinawans are they're stretching it to 100, but that's about it.
That's a good point too. Maybe people see that and combine that with a point of, you say I'm drinking beer right now. Obviously, beer is not. No one's going to recommend you drink one beer every day for your health, for example. No. It's not the worst thing for you, obviously, but it's not something. It doesn't show people. It doesn't signal that you're that you're like being super nutritious when you do, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But do you think people are just kind of like, I don't want to make that trade. I don't want to give up the things I like, but for this, slim chance I may live longer? You think that's like a kind of a mental block too?
I personally have that sort of mental battle in myself. So yeah, I see that totally, because I live it, because I'm also vegan, and like I'm a fan of Jay Kordich, who's that juicing guy from the 80s. Let me tell you, man, he's still alive. He's 92 years old right now, bro. He still juices every day. He's on I think he still does like commercials and stuff. And like, he's older now, but like, if you really take care of yourself and really eat clean, you can live a long, healthy, good life. Yeah, it's totally possible. So once I'm 36 right now. Once I'm 40, I plan on like cracking down.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a plan for a lot of people can have, and it can be effective too. Like I said, when you're in your 20s, 30s, you're kind of like, yeah, I can do whatever. But I've heard, I've yet to experience yet, but when you get in your 40s, you need to take better care of yourself, because you have less energy, lower metabolism, all that stuff. Is it just a problem of needing more billionaires to fund it? And it ties directly into Richard's. But for example, Peter Thiel, he has talked about longevity, especially recently. I mean, he loves Bitcoin too, but he is billionaire, and he seems interested in funding it. He is a contrarian and great investor. And one of the things that he talks about is like, he asks people, what are people like, what is, basically what is a good idea, or what is a very profitable business, or what's good for the world that no one's funding, no one's doing it, no one's buying it, no one's supporting it. And I'm so happy to see him to get into longevity research and stuff. Do we just need more billionaires? Is that the problem?
I think that'd be a huge help if we had more billionaires just literally just throwing cash at it, like making it rain. You know what I mean? Just like, just bombarding Sens and Aubrey with cash, just pallets of cash. Yeah, I think that would literally like speed up the whole process. Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that's what makes me so excited about, if and when there is a Heart Foundation. Can you imagine, Richard with multiple $1 billion setting it up in a way that just funds longevity? Like, it almost overfunds it. It funds it just enough to it maximally funds it, and it'd be funded for the next 50, 100 years, the way he could set it up with that much money.
For sure.
That makes me excited about the future of longevity.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be nonprofit either. All of the spin-off companies from Sens who make products and these therapies, you can make cash. So literally they fund themselves. Then it's just pure money. Then it's the next Pfizer. I think it'll put big pharma out of business. If we could replace them, like everything big pharma is doing today, literally replace with longevity therapy, it's like a whole new industry. You would turn the medical industry upside down.
Wow. That would be something that gives me hope. I think these are the conversations getting out there, especially with either billionaires, no matter what age they are. They want to do they want to fund things either intellectually, because they just find them interesting. They know that they can make a huge impact because there's no competition right now, no one's funding it, but they know it will work. That kind of challenge. And then you have young people coming out of college, not believing that you got to die. You got to die at 80. That's the age, whatever the average is in your country, whatever average is, you're going to probably die before then, like the odds are, or right at it. Like, stop being pro-death. Like, I don't know. It's not a delusion. You don't have to be delusional to believe in making people live longer. I just don't think that's something that's so crazy and out there.
I agree. And it's inevitable. This technology will be invented in the future. It's just a matter of when and if you're going to be alive to see it. Because in 500 years from now, it's already going to be done. This will already be all fixed. Can we get it now? That's the real question.
Is this electric cars from 20 years ago?
I mean, like, I think we're not even, as far as longevity, I don't even think we've invented the Ford Model T. Like, we don't even have a car yet. We're like, it's like, maybe we got bicycles. Like, I don't even know if I don't know how effective the longevity therapies of today are, if there are even any that are worth it. I don't even know.
You hear, what's his name? David Sinclair. He wrote a book, Lifespan, and he's always doing streams and interviews and stuff. And he takes some stuff. I forget what they're called, but if you're interested in any of the experimental drugs, of course, do your own research, all that stuff. He talks about a few different ones, and I believe they're getting a little more popular. But stuff's so hard to tell because you got to take it for years and years to know if it's working. You got to have all these different data points to back it against, which takes forever. And that's another tragedy of it. It just takes a long time to know what works. So I don't know. I guess that's why we experiment on mice, right? We can, unfortunately for mice, they help us figure out what may work for humans.
Yeah. I wish there was some better way we could use supercomputers, kind of like the picture behind me, to just synthetically crunch the numbers and almost like a hyperbolic time chamber where, like, in these computers we could do 100 years of research and synthesis in like 10 seconds because the computer just goes through all the permutations and possibilities.
That's a good point. Maybe technology helps us go faster. Maybe we're thinking 30 years now, but then when quantum computers are here or some other groundbreaking technology comes, maybe it cuts it in half.
Yeah, I think especially once the machine learning quote AI algorithms are really good, and
when they stop being used for ads, when their main use case isn't for ads and stealing your data, maybe we'll shift it to longevity. Repurpose them, if you will.
Totally, that'd be much better use of them, right?
It is kind of sad when you think about that all the money and all the CPU power and all the energy in the world from all the big tech companies is going towards screwing your eyeballs, in a sense. What if you redirected that? Here's the commercial. What if you took that and put it into saving people's lives? Like, I think there's some truth in that. I think it is like we're too busy trying to get people to click on ads and not focused on making people live longer. I think one day I think we're going to go in one direction or the other, but I certainly hope that all these things can really help people. And these are things, and it all goes back to Richard. His mission is glory. It's a very selfish mission, but that's okay because it's good, and the things he wants to do are healthy and they help people. So he can be as selfish as he wants. He deserves to be the richest man in the world. If he creates that much value, you deserve it. Elon Musk, richest man in the world. Why? Yep. He creates a shit ton of value for everyone. He deserves it. Yep. He deserves every penny. So I'm hoping Richard will be the same way one day.
I think so. I completely agree. I think Richard might be the richest person in the world someday. I do. He's on track.